Well, hello, and welcome to my cozy home. It's been quite a while since I've made a video, but I'm so glad to be back and share with you an adventure my husband and I have embarked on, and it is building a tiny house truck. I'm going to be breaking down this video into 3 sections. Number 1, why we're doing this crazy tiny house box truck conversion build. Number 2, why we chose the vehicle we chose and the method we chose to do it. And number 3, how we're going to do this logistically with plans, renderings, 3D views, and all the beautiful visuals so you can see exactly what we're planning to do. Whether you're interested in building a conversion of your own, whether it be a van or a tiny house or a box truck, or you're just interested in slow living, I promise you this video will entertain and inform. So stick around till the end so you get to see how we're going to make this dream a reality. Let's get into it. The biggest question we get when we tell people we're building a 20-foot Isuzu house box truck, I haven't figured out a good way to say that. Wandering cottage, house truck, I don't know. If you have an idea of what I should call this project, leave it in the comments below. So anyway, as I was saying, whenever I tell people that we're doing this crazy box truck build that we're going to live in, I always get a really confused response. Sometimes it's, why are you spending all your money on this? This is such a big risk. Generally, it's a bit of confusion and people kind of warning us not to do that. I usually try to respond to people by explaining the why of it all. Number 1, our personal lifestyle dreams. Number 2, financial reasons, of course. And number 3, we love a passion project, especially me. Despite what people might think, my husband and I have been thinking long and hard about this. We've been researching, considering, weighing risk and options and what we actually want out of our lives. I think a lot of these opinions that we get on our life choices and our choice to do a box truck conversion oftentimes stem from fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of doing something different, fear of stepping out of what's considered normal. Because let's face it, most people wouldn't bat an eye at us taking out a 30-year mortgage that we can just afford. And they also wouldn't bat an eye at us taking out $75,000 in student debt. In fact, that's a normal amount of debt in America for a lot of people. However, when wanting to do something like build a box truck conversion that we're going to live in, even though we're not going to go into debt and it's going to cost significantly less than those other 2 things, it makes people nervous. I kind of feel like we've been conditioned to see financial liabilities like owning a home or taking on a lot of student debt as these risks that are safe and that are going to return. A lot of us were raised on this idea that the American dream equals graduating high school, ideally going to college, and buying that home, and then working, for the rest of your life. But when we look at data from recent years, we start to realize that these kinds of milestones aren't really achievable today. The old adage of your college degree will pay for itself isn't necessarily true anymore when you've got schools charging anywhere from $7,000 to $55,000 a year. To afford a home in 2021, Americans needed an average income of $144,000 a year, when the national family average is $69,000. And that's taking data from across the country, not focusing in on cities like where I live, where oftentimes these numbers are much, much worse. I don't know what the answer is for everyone, and I wish there was a simple answer for everyone. The only power we have is over our choices. What do we need to be happy? And what options do we have for making a better life? These are the core questions my husband and I have been asking ourselves for years. And that finally leads me back to the original question of this video, which was, why are we doing this box truck build? And the answer is, we want to work to live, not live to work. We want to enjoy the small moments of our lives. We want to fulfill some of our dreams, maybe live near nature. So naturally, this led us to exploring different avenues of how we could achieve that. We dreamt up a home that we could travel in, that was on the back of a truck, that would cost us under $40,000, that we would pay in cash, and would let us shed our really, really expensive city rent. If we're able to do this, we can have a lot more financial freedom and a lifestyle that we really love. As amazing and perfect as this all sounds, the tiny life is not a magic solution. Everything comes with a price. Your living expenses may be lower. You probably won't be in debt. However, you have to deal with the stress of living in a mobile dwelling, not having permanent fixed land, and having to make this lifestyle work in a world, in a society that is not set up to make this lifestyle work for you. You sacrifice space, amenities, and stability, amongst many other challenges. It really comes down to this: which sandwich are you willing to eat? And by that I mean, what crap are you willing to put up with to get the good things? When you finally decide you're going to build some type of mobile dwelling, it's really exciting, and the options are endless. There's RVs, skoolies, tiny houses, van life, and of course then there's the option of how involved you want to be in the build. Do you want to save money and have the headache of doing it all yourself, or do you want to hire a professional to do it for you? Of course, this then affects the price tag. You could build your own rustic DIY skoolie for $10,000, or you could go and have a professional sprinter van made and done up for you for over $200,000. So the options are all over the board. For us, of course, one of the big reasons we're doing this is to not go into any debt, to use savings we have, and to kind of learn how to build and get into things and do it on our own. So we knew a lot of the expensive options were off the table, and we chose a box truck for these reasons. Number one, box trucks are a lot cheaper than other options. They're not trendy. People are mostly using them for commercial purposes. We liked the idea that we could get a really good vehicle without the trendy price tag. The truck that we wanted, an Isuzu, is an amazing truck. Of course, there's many options, but we are looking at Isuzu NPRs. And these trucks are made for hauling. The diesel trucks run well over 500,000 miles with good maintenance. They just sounded perfect for hauling around a house. Number three is that medium-duty box trucks come in many sizes and don't require a CDL. You can get a 12-footer all the way up to 20 or 24 feet, and the weight ratings also fluctuate in between. So you can really go as heavy-duty or light-duty and tiny as you want. We knew we wanted a lot of space so we could build a fully functional home, so we went with a 20-foot truck. Number four is that the boxes that sit on the back of a box truck are made of aluminum and steel, which makes a great base for framing a home. Although you do need to watch out because not every box truck is made of aluminum and steel. Some are fiberglass and wood, so definitely look for ones that are steel. Number five is that box trucks are plain cubes, which means the design is open to your imagination. If you want to make this a completely stealth build where no one can tell that you're living inside of it, you can. And if you want to doll this up and make it into a traveling fairy cottage, you can also do that. So after months of research and visiting trucks and traveling all over the state to try to find the right one, we found the perfect truck. She was at the top of our price range, but we didn't feel like we were going to find a deal like this again. So we bought her. And that was the beginning of the adventure. All right, it's finally time to get to the fun part, the 3D renderings and plans. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I studied interior architecture in school, and I used to work at several architecture firms. So this knowledge and my professional background has definitely helped me in planning the design of this build. I've been able to put my years of experience to good use planning, diagramming, detailing, all the different aspects of what's going to happen with this house truck. Of course, there are a lot of parameters that I've never worked with before, like the fact that this house is going to be flying down the road at 70 miles an hour. Also, my husband and I have not much experience with building. I've done quite a few DIY projects around the house, building nightstands and tables and planters and things like that, but no framing experience, no welding, nothing, that would help you build a house truck. We also don't know anyone who's in a trade or have a dad who's a contractor or anyone with land where we can build the house. So our list of advantages kind of ends with me having a brain that thinks architecturally. And so we've been kind of figuring things out as we go. We are definitely planning on hiring professionals intermittently as necessary. When we get to the different systems of the truck, like plumbing, electricity, we're going to have technicians and professionals come in either to help us or check our work so that we have an extremely safe vehicle. I would not recommend just DIYing everything on your own. There's a reason we have codes and licensed professionals to build the houses we dwell in. It's to keep us safe. So we want to strike the balance of learning and doing things ourselves, but making sure we have a rig that is going to keep us safe from fire and damage and all the catastrophic things that can happen if you don't know what you're doing. So the way I started designing this house truck was by monitoring my husband and I's user needs. I took detailed note of how my husband and I use our house, what items we use most, what items we could really lose, how much storage we need, where we should prioritize space, and where we should cut space. So that gave me a really good idea of the must-haves in our home and the things we could live without. Because let's face it, when you're designing a tiny house, you're going to have to sacrifice quite a bit of things. So it's important to know what you really can't live without. After this, I proceeded to tons and tons and tons and tons of research and planning and diagramming and designing the space. I would do sketch after sketch after sketch and floor plans, and I started moving on to 3D visuals to really get a sense of how everything was going to work. Doing all this planning has been a joy and a headache and an obsession, but I really love it. I'm a detail-oriented person. This is my jam. I love design, so it's been a great process for me. Let me get into showing you what all this planning has led to, and hopefully in 6 months or so, I'll be able to show you a cozy, safe, and real version of this home.
So I made that rendered animation a few months back, before some major design changes took place. We decided to add a bedroom to the tiny house. In the tour, you may have noticed the house was lacking a bedroom, and that was because we planned to use the couch as a pull-out bed. However, this didn't sit well with us when thinking about living in the house for 5+ years. We felt that a bedroom was necessary and would greatly improve our quality of life, even if it meant adding a significant amount of money to the build. Roughly $10,000. So we made the choice to weld on a platform to the back of the truck, creating space for a queen bed as well as a ton of storage. The second thing I would like to bring up is the beautiful curved roof. You might have been wondering while watching the animation, how is she going to make that happen? Because, as I'm sure you recall, our box truck did not come with a beautifully arched roof. No, it came with a very flat, slightly dipped roof. I didn't want to keep the flat roof for several reasons. Number 1, watershed. A completely flat roof is not a good long-term solution for snow and rain. And number 2, space. I wanted at least 8'6" at the highest point of the ceiling because this would open up the home immensely. Lofting the ceilings and adding a gentle curve softens and cocoons the space. And I'm also obsessed with shepherd huts, so there's that too. But I will say, changing the roof has been a major pain. There's the added weight, total height, structural capacity, figuring out how to curve metal for the arched rafters, and much, much more to consider when replacing the original roof. I did a lot of consulting to come up with the final design, and even still, I went through so many iterations. A wood-framed option, which ended up being too heavy, then steel, before I decided on aluminum. Here's our welder, finally installing those aluminum arches after months of design, planning, and headache. I could go on and on through every detail of my design philosophy for tiny spaces, from storage to utility design to color theory, but that was not the point of this video. This video was just to introduce you to our tiny house truck and give some background on it, and I think I've thoroughly covered that. I hope you've enjoyed this glimpse into the amazing and stressful adventure that is building a home. Let me know if you're interested in more videos about the truck, the design process, or the build. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you soon.